Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happens every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Carolyn. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Women's Sports Weekly Pod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at womensportsweeklypod@gmail.com, and we may feature your email on the podcast.
Additionally, new stickers are in. Follow us on Spotify or Apple and rate us 5 stars on wherever you listen to your podcast. You can screenshot it and send us a DM with that screenshot, and we will send you your Women's Sports Weekly sticker.
And if you don't have social media, you probably have an email. And you can also email it to us if you'd like at womensportsweeklypod@gmail.com, and we will send you over a new Women's Sports Weekly sticker. Do you know that now there are 300 Women's Sports Weekly stickers in the wild?
Wow, I did not know that. That's really exciting.
Can't wait to send out some more stickers.
Also, happy Black History Month. Black history is American history, is human history, and we are honored we get to cover Black history in women's sports through this podcast.
A great way to make a difference is to support Black nonprofits. So this week, we are highlighting the Black Mamas Matter Alliance. Please consider donating to them. They are a Black women-led nonprofit that advocates, drives research, builds power, and shifts culture for Black maternal health, rights, and justice. We will drop a link to donate to the Black Mamas Matter Alliance in our show notes. So you can go into our show notes, give it a click, and make a donation.
And if you know of any other nonprofits supporting Black women, please send them our way and we will highlight them throughout February.
Let's get into our week.
Let's do it.
So this past week, you were traveling for work.
I feel like I haven't said it in a while. I'm tired.
Always traveling for work and always tired.
Yes.
But what usually happens is when Danielle goes and travels for work during the week, I just pack my social calendar.
It's really unbelievable. Like I said to you, I love that you do things. So I'm not saying that as a negative. I am saying that I was jealous of the things you did this past week when I was not here. And I wish I could have joined you. And I think you should definitely share with the rest of our listeners what is happening, because this is a very exciting time for Denver.
Yes. And you have just the most FOMO of any person I've met.
Yeah, it's very true. I definitely hate missing out on things, especially fun things like that.
So this past week, I was able to go to a Denver FC rally. As we know, if you've been listening to the past couple episodes, Denver is getting an NWSL team, and there's a group called For Denver FC, and it is a grassroots movement that helps secure a Denver NWSL team. This past week, they held a rally to welcome the new Denver NWSL team. Jessica Berman, the commissioner of the National Women's Soccer League, was there. The mayor was there. The governor was there. The new owner of the NWSL team, Rob Cohen, was there. And then there were a ton of community members. I went with the founders of the WNBA club here in Denver and nationally. There were a ton of other friends there. It was just a really, really good time. The color that they were sharing with people, they were handing out t-shirts, they were handing out scarves. I really wanted a scarf, but I didn't get one. Was this really cool forest green. We don't have a team name yet, but I was like, what are they doing with the forest green?
How did you not get any free merch when you were there?
I know. I should have pushed some kids to get it.
You should have.
But I was not willing to do that.
You should have been like in the movie White Chicks where they're sprinting to the bathroom and elbowing, move, bitch. That's what you should have done to the little
To
kids.
a 12-year-old?
Yeah. You should have had me there. I would have definitely done that.
Oh, yeah. You're definitely the type to get physical with someone.
Yeah, to charge through a crowd of people would never happen.
We know the color is green, but I have some ideas for a team name.
Let's hear them.
So the new Women's Elite Rugby announced their logos and names this past weekend, and Denver is the Denver Onyx, which I like. I really think we should lean into the gem mineral thing here in Denver, and I have some reasoning for it. I really want our women's teams to have a theme that runs through them.
Sure.
I really like in New York how they have the same color scheme.
Yep.
So you can wear the color and show up to any game and be there. And in Portland's known as the Rose City, and then the NWSL team is the Thorn. So it's like homage to the city, and I wonder if the WNBA team will play into that, because I just think there's a lot of directions. So for Denver, when we were thinking about a WNBA team, I said the Denver Diamonds. And I think that's a great option. I also think Amethyst would be a cool one. I don't know all the gems, but
Emerald?
I do know Emerald.
I don't know how that would turn into a team name, but
no, the Denver Emerald or like Emerald City, although we're not but we are kind of a green city because we do lean hard. Denver is crunchy granola, lots of people who are very eco-friendly and care about the environment. So I do see some opportunities there to lean into this gem. On top of that, we have the Rocky Mountains that produces gemstones and minerals. So I think that could work. And then, like I said, so many people in Denver are into their crystals and into different things. I think it could be a good idea.
I need to go back to the Emerald City, reminding me of Wicked right now.
Yes.
And what's that song? One day.
One short day
in the Emerald City. That's what was playing in my head. That's what it was.
That could be the battle cry.
You know what? I'm going to paint my face green if this is the case, just like Elphaba, and it's just going to be so good.
You heard it here first. If you like the name the Denver Emerald, Danielle will paint her face green.
No, that is not what I said. I said
that's exactly what you just said.
I said if we end up being the Denver Emerald, I will show up to games like that. Not if our listeners like it. I'm not just going to show up to an episode with my face painted green.
Which would be so great if you did. But okay, I hear you. That's what I was thinking in my head. So if the owners are listening, or if someone associated with this NWSL team is listening and you want to take my idea, you can take it and you can pay me for it. Okay? I'm looking at you, camera. You will pay me for my idea. Thank you.
The other thing that happened when you were at this event, well, the next day we had talked and you filled me in. I was still away for work. But one thing you didn't tell me is you put a deposit down for season tickets. So on social media the next day, I was just scrolling and I saw, I forget what account posted it, but it said whatever number of people in Denver have put down a deposit for season tickets for the new NWSL team. And I sent it to you and I said, are you one of those people? And you responded, yeah, you are too. And I love that you just didn't tell me that up front. You were slyly just
It wasn't
waiting.
sly. I wasn't it
not
wasn't
in a bad
sly.
way, but I was like, you're not going to tell me we're about to be season ticket holders for real?
I just saw an opportunity and I put it in and then I forgot. There was so much going on this past week. So yes, we put our name in the hat to get some season tickets for the new NWSL team. I'm excited too.
Now we really can put our money where our mouth is, because we've been saying it for a while now.
I know. I'm just worried these season tickets are going to be way too much money and we're just going to go into debt. But hey, it's worth it. It is worth it for women's sports.
We'll figure it out.
Let's get into the highlight reel for this week.
All right. So we have to talk about Nashville submitting a new bid for the WNBA team. And obviously we think this name is perfect. We literally just talked about Pat Summitt on last week's episode. The team name they are proposing is the Tennessee Summit after Coach Pat Summitt. Candace Parker wants to honor Coach Pat Summitt with this team. They had such a close relationship when Candace was playing at Tennessee. And honestly, as much as I still want one in Denver, if another city has to have it, I like where this is headed.
Yeah, it's the perfect name. Like, you win, Nashville. I know that I can get pretty negative on some places that I don't think a WNBA team should be, but with a name like Tennessee Summit and partners in the expansion bid include, like you said, Candace Parker, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, and Peyton Manning, I think it will do some amazing things. Obviously, Tennessee women's basketball is very good, so I think that will generate a solid fandom.
With that, I am a little disappointed with Peyton Manning. Yes, he went to Tennessee. He played there, so I understand. But dude, you also played for the Broncos and live in Denver. Come on, help us out.
I know. If you were to put money into a team, would you do it in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where you went to college, or would you do it here in Denver?
Selfishly, I would do it where I live now. Yeah.
And if I were to think, would I rather have a WNBA team in Columbia, which would do well, in South Carolina, or here in Denver? Yeah, I would pick here in Denver.
Yeah.
Because I want to go to the games.
Exactly.
If I had a lot of money and could fly anywhere, yeah, maybe I would want to get back to South Carolina because I could get there easily.
Yeah, totally depends on the situation.
So in this partnership bid, they are promising to build a practice facility specifically made for the women who are playing. And they also said that they will play at Bridgestone Arena, which is where the NHL team, the Predators, play. And yeah, we'll see. So many big names are putting in bids now for a WNBA team, which is great. And expansion's going to happen, and it's going to happen over the years. So I also would be curious to see if there's some teams who are not doing as great with attendance and things, and to see some teams move, because I don't want to expand too fast. But if we can have a team move to a different place, maybe change their name, and then that way we can reallocate resources and make sure that this stays successful, I think would also be a smart idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really do love to see both men and women, big names, contribute to this. You even have country singers and former male athletes. It's just very cool.
For sure. We also need to talk about this past weekend. Both A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark headed back to their alma maters, South Carolina and Iowa, respectively, for their numbers to be retired. They both wear number 22, which is very interesting. And they both had their jerseys retired on February 2nd, 2-2.
I absolutely loved the video of A'ja Wilson on the court at South Carolina dancing, and then the whole South Carolina team just comes on the court surrounding her. Really made my heart happy to see that.
Yes, just hyping her up, posing alongside with her. It was great. They also had hats that they were giving out that had the number 22 on it, and in between they had the apostrophe, just because like everything A'ja does has that apostrophe because she has it in her name. And then for Caitlin Clark, the Caitlin Clark effect stays alive because Iowa was playing USC, who's ranked number 4. Iowa is unranked. And with Caitlin Clark in the crowd, Iowa beats USC 76-69 to give USC their second loss of the season. I am starting to think that Caitlin Clark has secret powers.
Yeah, it's really crazy because Iowa is unranked. In what universe should they win this game? None. And they did. I was getting work done around the house. You called up to me. You were like, oh my gosh, Iowa is beating USC. What is happening? And I was like, okay, what quarter is it? And you were like the first. I was like, oh, no problem. USC is going to come back. And
they
I was wrong. They did, but they didn't. I thought they were going to come back and blow Iowa out. Like sometimes teams start slow, but it was at Iowa. And yeah, she just might have those powers you're talking about. It was really something. You had Lisa Bluter back. You had Monica Cesano. I don't know how many alum, but Kate Martin was back. So Iowa showed up to play.
After the game, the announcers were saying that they probably are a bubble team to make the NCAA tournament. And a win like this can help just propel you forward into that. So we'll be interested to see where they land. Great to have Caitlin Clark back in Iowa. Her entire family was there. Her family's so cute. And I said to you, her brothers are hot.
I think her younger brother is a little too young to be calling hot. I said he's cute.
Her older brother's hot.
It's like a cute little baby.
They're just a good looking family. So congratulations to both A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Very well deserved. I don't know what they're going to do when one of them retire from the WNBA because 22 is a hot number.
But they would do it by team.
Yeah, 2 great players.
Yeah. With that, let's talk about professional volleyball.
We haven't talked about professional volleyball yet this year. There are 3 professional volleyball leagues.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. One is the Pro Volleyball Federation. One is League One Volleyball. And the other one is the Athletes Unlimited that plays in the fall. But the Pro Volleyball Federation and League One Volleyball play at the same time. And I don't like to say this because I love women's sports and I want all the women's sports all the time. But to have 2 professional leagues, to me, is confusing.
Yeah, and you're not saying anything negative about it. I think that's a great point because why can't they just combine? Why are there 2 leagues?
That's what I was thinking. and I want to get into this a little bit. So the Pro Volleyball Federation is in its second year. It had a great opening year last season. And then League One Volleyball is in its first year. There's some differences between the two, but volleyball is definitely skyrocketing in the US. It is the most popular team sport among high school girls, and the 2024 Women's NCAA Volleyball Tournament was the most consumed ever, with more than 1.3 billion minutes watched across ESPN platforms. The NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament was the most watched semifinals and the most watched regionals on record. So things are really headed in the right direction. The Professional Volleyball Federation, the PVF, like I said, is in its second season. It has 8 teams. You ready for these names?
I'm ready.
The Atlanta Vibe, the Columbus Fury, the Grand Rapids Rise, Indy Ignite, Omaha Supernovas, Orlando Valkyries, San Diego Mojo, and Vegas Thrill.
You mentioned Orlando Valkyries. Craziest thing that we're talking about this because I saw them get off the plane when I was trying to get back home from my trip this past weekend. At first, I didn't see what their logo said, but a bunch of women came off a plane. They were so tall. I was like, who are these women? They were all in sweatsuits. I couldn't tell what it said. And then as they got closer, it said Orlando Valkyries. And I immediately started typing it in Google. I should have said something, but I was like, I don't know any of these women, so I didn't. But it was pretty cool to just see professional athletes come off a plane.
And you didn't tell them about the podcasts?
That was the other thing. I was like, damn, I wish I had stickers right now. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to receive those.
I'm sure they would love to get noticed. So in the PVF, they play 28 matches, 14 home games and 14 away. The season runs from January through May, and they face each team 4 times. Let's talk about League One Volleyball. It's also very confusing because League One Volleyball, they are trying to make it seem like it spells out love.
Yeah, when I look at it on paper, it literally does look like love.
It's not working for me.
Yeah. Love. I love it. Sorry.
So I'm going to call it League One. Initially, it was founded as a network of youth clubs and had always had the ultimate goal of launching a pro league. And that's exactly what it did. It launched a pro league this year, which is an interesting model to have your youth and then build from there and build up. There are 6 teams. They don't have names yet. Atlanta, Austin, Houston, Madison, Omaha, and Salt Lake. They have an interesting way of hosting games. So 2 teams will play in one city for a head-to-head matchup in a week. And then the rest of the teams play in a different city, but all of them play in the same city. So it creates an opportunity to see either the head-to-head matchup in one city, or you can go see multiple games at the host city for that week, which I think is an interesting setup. I also love these leagues that are taking things to the next level and trying to think about things differently to how to attract fans and things like that. They compete from January to April. And the interesting thing about League One is that it features 75% of the Team USA roster. So they did a really good job of getting everyone from that Team USA roster that took silver in the 2024 Paris Olympics to participate in this league.
That's great. That's really cool.
I am going to talk about a game that happened in the PVF, the Professional Volleyball Federation, between the Atlanta Vibe and the San Diego Mojo last Thursday.
I like that name. Mojo.
Do you know what it makes me think of?
Barbie.
Yeah. Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Mojo Dojo. Yes, it makes me think of that too.
So I'm like, okay, that is an interesting name, but let's go for it. In this game, Atlanta beat San Diego 3-1. Atlanta dominated the first set 25-15. And in the second set, the Mojo Dojo Casa House really stepped up. They had a huge rally that totally shifted the momentum. The rally went on for so many hits. And after that, they won the point and the momentum really swung their way. And they won the second set 26-24. So I was like, we've got a game here, 1-1. San Diego, the Mojo Dojo. What also is that little thing from Dexter's Laboratory?
Never saw it.
Oh my God. You never saw Dexter's Laboratory? I feel like that's right up your alley.
I don't know what it's about.
Okay, there's a monkey in Dexter's Laboratory. What's his name? Right here. Hold on. I'm looking online and it says that the monkey's name is Monkey. I thought the monkey's name was like Mojo Dojo. What am I thinking of?
You made it up.
Oh, Powderpuff Girls has a monkey. Did you watch Powerpuff Girls?
Yes, that I watched.
Powerpuff or Powderpuff?
I think
Powerpuff.
Powerpuff.
Wow, I'm
not
getting
Powder
everything wrong. Okay, Mojo Jojo is he a monkey? He looks like a monkey in Powerpuff Girls. Okay.
Interesting.
Sorry, tangent, but this is where my mind is going. So I'll just stick to their actual name. The Mojo, they come back out in the third set and they're looking good. And they're ranked lower than Atlanta. So I was like, this is going to be really good. But then Atlanta regains momentum and wins the third set 25-17. Atlanta then jumped out to a quick lead in set 4, and the Mojo tried to make a late game run. It just wasn't enough, and they lost the final set 25-20. What I noticed in this game watching it is that all of these women are professionals. So the hitting from the back line, we've talked about this in college, is just amazing, but every single person does it. And then the setting, I was so impressed. The setter on San Diego, Dae-Young Lee, was setting the ball perfectly from her knees. She recorded her 5th double-double of the season with 34 assists and 17 digs. And then for the Vibe, Leah Edmond dominated on the court. She had a season-high 21 kills. She played for Kentucky in college, and in 2024, she was the PVF MVP and outside hitter of the year. The other thing that I noticed besides the talent of the teams was that the crowd was really rowdy, but it was small in San Diego. And again, it takes me back to, why do we have 2 leagues?
Yeah.
Is there a plan to bring them together? I feel like it's confusing for fans. It was confusing for me. I was like, which one do I watch? I'm going to watch League One this week. I also think we need to invest in more marketing to make sure that these seats are filled.
Because volleyball is really fun to watch. Volleyball is an interesting sport because it has an easier entryway where anyone feels like, oh, I could play volleyball. But then you actually try to play volleyball and it's really hard.
Yep.
Yes, you can play, but these women are dominating in this sport and so fun to watch. To your point, I think they should be doing a lot more marketing. They should talk to Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, who is doing a great job with the marketing of Unrivaled, and figure something out.
For sure. And with that, let's get into an Unrivaled matchup from this week.
Yes. The highly anticipated Lunar Owls played the Laces this past Friday night, and the Lunar Owls won 75-73.
This was the first loss for the Laces.
Yes, both teams went into this game undefeated, 4-0. Who's going to walk away with a win? Once again, I have such a hard time finding a team that I want to stick with. I look at these two teams and I love players on both teams, so I'm like, how am I supposed to pick a team to root for?
I'm going Laces.
See, I want to say yes, but I also love the players on the Owls.
You cannot root against Skylar Diggins-Smith. I think that's the problem.
I know. And I really like Nafisa Collier too. She's not a former Notre Dame player. She went to UConn. Kayla McBride and Jackie Young, I really struggle, but similar to the WNBA, it's just very hard for me. I just love individual players so much. But watching this game, both teams were playing really well. As I said, the Lunar Owls won. Skylar Diggins-Smith once again hit the game-winning shot, but unfortunately, there was no huge celebration because this shot was a foul shot.
Yeah,
I was bummed because I love the reactions the players make in these games because you're always on a game winner. But a foul shot's just like anticlimactic.
Yeah, the foul shots count for 2 points at Unrivaled. I don't love that rule. So that was also a little strange.
Yes, but getting more into this game, this was Jackie Young's return to playing after suffering an injury, and she plays for the Laces. So really good to see her on the court. She picked up 3 fouls right away, which was so frustrating. She was getting frustrated. All the players were getting frustrated by the refs throughout this game because between the two teams, there were a total of 36 fouls called, which even watching, it just felt excessive. And it felt like some of the fouls were very weak calls. I know.
Refs, we try to like you. They have been really bad at Unrivaled. And I know it's a different format and it's a different game, so maybe we should have some grace. But this past weekend, Angel Reese got ejected from a game. Such a light reason to get ejected. That was not good. I love that Angel Reese was like just peering.
I saw that.
But should not have been an ejection. There was a foul called on Jackie Young in this Laces Lunar Owls game. She did not touch Nafisa Collier.
It was literally the lightest touch, and she like quickly took her hands off and they called it.
I am really not impressed with these Sephora referees.
I know. I do like that the players get 6 fouls versus 5. I think it's much needed, especially since they don't have a deep bench for these games. So at least they have that going for them. Nafisa Collier of the Owls led all scorers with 26 points and also added 7 rebounds. She was 10 for 14 from the field, which means she shot 71.4% from the field.
I wonder if her and Stewie met up and Stewie was like, let's do an off-season league. Let's do 5-on-5. And Nafisa Collier was like, no, we are doing 3-on-3. And Stewie was probably like, why is she pushing this so hard? And now we're seeing why. Because Nafisa Collier, she's so good on 5-on-5 too. Yeah. But she is so good in the 3-on-3 format.
I agree. She's been playing so well this season in Unrivaled. Her shooting has been insane. Her defense has been incredible. She was getting on the nerves of the Laces so bad in this game. And I'm watching her play defense and I'm like, it's no mistake that she was the 2024 Defensive Player of the Year for the WNBA. And I just feel like her amazing WNBA season has carried over to Unrivaled this year. She's just on her A game.
And I know Asia Wilson does not play in this league, but I'm watching Nafisa Collier and I'm like, is she going to be the unanimous MVP for the WNBA this year? Because wow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The surprising part about this win was the Lunar Owls were down to start the fourth quarter, so they had to make up extra points. Skylar Diggins-Smith and Nafisa Collier led their team to victory as they combined for 11 of the 13 points scored in that final quarter. Overall, this was such a fun game to watch. I am really excited to see these two teams play again later on in the season.
I love Unrivaled.
Yeah, same.
Let's talk about the WNBA Free Agency.
Yes, switching gears here, and this is what we will deep dive into this week.
We are going to talk about what we know right now. As we're recording, I'm sure more information will come out. So bear with us, and let's talk about the state of the teams in our current moment.
I knew this time of year was going to be pretty wild with all this free agency. Every time I open my phone on Instagram, I see a new release. I'm sure there will be more. It's been fun to finally get the details on where people are going, so let's talk about it in more detail here. We're going to name off a lot of names, so bear with us here. But to start, Jewel Lloyd is headed to the Las Vegas Aces. That is going to be a fun thing to see. Kelsey Plum is leaving the Aces and headed to the Los Angeles Sparks. And then you have Alyssa Thomas, who is going to join Satu Sabally with the Phoenix Mercury. Brittany Griner, after 11 seasons with the Phoenix Mercury, is going to the Atlanta Dream. And the Atlanta Dream also signed Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun. Wow, that's already quite a lot of changes.
So just let that sink in for a second. So with all of this movement, you may be wondering what the heck is going on in Connecticut. All of the Connecticut Sun starting 5 is gone.
I just can't wrap my head around this.
So Alyssa Thomas is headed to Phoenix. Ty Harris is going to Dallas. Dejanay Carrington is headed to Dallas. Brianna Jones, as we mentioned, going to Atlanta. And then DeWanna Bonner is headed to Indiana.
My biggest question is, okay, Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner are engaged. They're leaving their team now, and now they have to figure out how to make this work from Indiana to Phoenix. And now they're going to be playing against each other. It just seems bonkers to me.
I know. I don't like that they're going to be on different teams, and I also can't wait to see that matchup.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting. So with that, who's left with the Connecticut Sun? I'm sure you're wondering. This season, they will have Natasha Cloud, Rebecca Allen, along with the number 12 pick in the 2025 draft. They also signed Tina Charles, and they are keeping Marina Mabry.
I'm just so bummed for Natasha Cloud because Phoenix has this new practice facility. Natasha Cloud has been working hard to get players to come to Phoenix. And now you go to the Connecticut Sun, which has some of the worst facilities in the WNBA. I just really feel for her because that's going to be a hard transition.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about the Dallas Wings. The Dallas Wings are acquiring Dejanay Carrington. They also have the number 1 pick. They are getting Ty Harris, like we mentioned, and they're also getting Nalissa Smith from the Indiana Fever. So now we will have a new couple that is playing together.
Whoa.
In Dejanay Carrington and Nalissa Smith.
Wow. And they newly got back together midway through last season, as far as we know.
Yes.
Now looking at the Chicago Sky. So this is not such a surprising move for me. Courtney Vandersloot is leaving New York Liberty to go to Chicago Sky. As a reminder, she used to play for the Chicago Sky, and a few years ago, she was on the team that won the WNBA championship with Candace Parker and Steph Dolson when they were all at the Chicago Sky. So she's headed back to Chicago.
I feel like this might be a family move.
Yeah, because you and I offline have been talking about her wife, Allie Quigley, who I have not seen on the court or any team. So I don't know if she plans to play again or if Vandersloot just wants to be back in Chicago because that's, to your point, where their family is. I know they have kids. So we'll see what happens there. And then Kia Nurse also signing 1-year deal with the Chicago Sky.
Yes, Kia Nurse is coming from the LA Sparks. And you'll notice that a lot of people are signing 1-year contracts because the CBA is coming up and they're going to be negotiating a new one. So I think that everyone just wants to see what happens this year and see what they can get out of the CBA and then really think about where they want to be long term. So I have a feeling that 2025 is going to be a big transition year of tryout. Like, do I like it here? And if not, I'm going to move on.
Which this is not helping my case for trying to pick one singular team to be a fan of. My problem persists of just liking all the teams because I like all players from all teams. I said I was going to pick a team this year. Don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, I know you won't be picking the Indiana Fever as your favorite team. Let's talk about who they have picked up in this wild time. The Indiana Fever acquired Sophie Cunningham from Phoenix. They also signed Natasha Howard from the Dallas Wings. And then the big news that came through was that DeWanna Bonner was traded to the Indiana Fever. Between Caitlin Clark, DeWanna Bonner, and Sophie Cunningham, this might be the most dramatic team that we will see. I am so excited to watch the Indiana Fever. They're going to be bringing all the star power, and also they are probably going to make every team so annoyed and every referee so scared.
Yeah. The first thing I thought when I saw that DeWanna Bonner was going to the Fever was there was a game this season where Connecticut Sun played Fever, and DeWanna Bonner and Caitlin Clark got really chippy with each other, but it was just like this annoying little tiff they were having, and I was just like, it was giving me the ick all around. And now that they're gonna be teammates, I was just I don't even know what to think anymore. I'm just like, how is this gonna work?
I know, and it's gonna embolden Indiana Fever fans to be even more annoying. I'm just worried.
Watch them become best friends. It's like when Dejanay Carrington and Marina Mabry played against each other because they're both so chippy and want to get in your face, and then they became best friends. So maybe it will happen with DeWanna and Caitlin Clark. Who the heck knows?
Let's talk about who we think are the winners so far of this free agency time.
It's hard to keep track. I can't even tell you who I think is the winner.
Let's start with the Phoenix Mercury. I think they come out winners so far in this free agency. They pick up Satu Sabli, they pick up Alyssa Thomas, and they have Kalia Copper. To me, they're a team that is setting themselves up well for this year.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting dynamic in a good way is what I'm thinking.
I also think the Indiana Fever make out really well in this draft. Kelsey Mitchell is staying in Indiana. They have Caitlin Clark, obviously. They get Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner. On top of that, they still have Aaliyah Boston. They are saying we're making it into the playoffs and we're making a run. And then I also think winners in this free agency time, the Liberty have been pretty quiet and the Lynx have been almost silent. They are like, we'll just keep our team exactly how it is. We like what we're working with and we'll see you in the championship. That's the vibe that I'm getting from the Minnesota Lynx.
Who do you think are the losers?
Well, one, I think we are the losers a little bit, the fans, to not have Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner on the same team. It will be interesting to see them play against each other, but don't worry, we now have Dejanay Carrington and Nalissa Smith to follow. I always like when there's couples on the teams.
Yeah, so do I.
I also like to imagine that Nalissa Smith and Dejanay will be spending a lot of time at Sue Ellen's in Dallas.
Best gay bar I've ever been to. I'm going to go just so I can say hi to them and just have a night at Sue Ellen's again.
Just Melissa and Dejanay doing some karaoke, some Casey and JoJo duetting karaoke.
I would love it.
In this right now, the Connecticut Sun.
Oh, they're going to struggle.
I don't know what they're going to do. They could put something together. It's not like they have a bad team over there, but new coach, new players, new starting lineup. It just seems like it's going to be rough.
Yes. And then I feel like the Valkyries in this whole situation is just like the forgotten child.
The Valkyries have been as silent as the Minnesota Lynx, and the Valkyries can't afford to be silent.
Yeah. With the expansion, they don't really have much they can do, so they're just not getting anyone. I think they're going to have a rough time this year.
So this is interesting because I understand that they can't really trade much, right? Like they took on players who are pretty low in the salary cap range. And so they don't have much that they can trade for. On top of that, they have the 5th pick in the WNBA draft, which is high, but it's not the highest.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they should have been bumped up a little bit higher so they had a little bit more negotiating power in this free agency time. My real question is, how have you not attracted one free agent? You have all this salary cap, pay them the max and get them to come. How are they not able to attract someone? San Francisco is a great city. It's a new, exciting team. I understand it takes time to build a team, but you couldn't get anyone so far in this free agency?
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. I feel bad for them right now. That's all I got.
Wow.
But it's definitely been an exciting time for the WNBA. Really, really excited for the season and just to see how these teams come together. With Unrivaled, we've been getting to see players work with different players that they're not normally working with. And now we're going to have pretty much all new teams and all new coaches pretty much. It is overall just an exciting time.
Definitely. Let's get into what we're looking forward to this week. What do you have, Dee?
I'm looking forward to an NCAA women's basketball matchup on Wednesday, February 5th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. Number 1 UCLA will take on number 8 Ohio State. Ohio State will also take on USC this week on Saturday, February 8th at 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox. This is going to be a big week, and especially with USC coming off a loss against Iowa this past weekend, they got to get some wins under their belt this week.
Yeah, and an opportunity for Ohio State to really move up in the rankings.
For sure. What are you looking forward to?
Let's stay with the Professional Volleyball Federation. On Thursday, February 6th, the Orlando Valkyries, who Danielle saw at the airport, take on the Atlanta Vibe, who we spoke about today, at 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube.
Yes. That is it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports, rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Share the podcast with your friends. Keep sending us topics you want us to cover on Instagram at Women's Sports Weekly Pod. Thanks for joining us.